Please have a seat for joining us. We'll start with statements by Foreign Minister Gideon Saar and Minister of Foreign Affairs Margus Tsahkna from Estonia. Please.
Thank my friend, Estonian Foreign Minister Margus Tsahkna, for his solidarity visit in Israel. Margus, we appreciate your visit, especially at this time, but I know Estonians are brave people. You didn't have any problem to come. Thank you for that. 2025 was an important year for our bilateral relations. Last November, I don't believe it happened only 4 months ago, but it's only 4 months ago. I had the privilege of opening Israel's embassy in Tallinn. That was a great day. It reflects the importance I see in our relations. We look forward to continuing the momentum on 2026. I admire the abilities of the people of Estonia in innovation, what you achieved on digital services for your citizens. And I'm sure that we are going to do great things together. The Mediterranean terror regime is the #1 source of regional and global instability. Since the Islamic Revolution in 1979, it has exported extremism, terror, and bloodshed in the Middle East and beyond. Iran has built up a proxy network of terror states across the region. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and the Houthis in Yemen. Iran built the Hezbollah terror state within Lebanon, effectively controlling the country from afar. We see it again these days. The regime exports its fanatic interpretation of Islam around the world. The regime is anti-Western and seeks to destroy our Western lifestyle. This Med regime butchers huge masses of its own people struggling for their freedom. This regime deliberately attacks civilian populations in its neighboring countries and in Israel. It attacks Christians, Jews, and Muslims. It attacks holy sites of the 3 religions. Yesterday it hit by the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in the old city of Jerusalem. I spoke this morning with the Patriarch and conveyed our solidarity. It also hit the Al-Aqsa compound. On Friday it hit the Muslim village of Zarzir in the northern part of our state, injuring 58 people. It hit a mosque on Ramadan. On March 1st, it struck a synagogue in Beit Shemesh, killing 9 Jews. This mad regime attacks civilians everywhere indiscriminately. Israel and the United States are taking out Iran's nuclear program, which it planned on immediately moving to a deep underground facility to achieve immunity from airstrikes. We are destroying its ballistic missiles program and military industry. These don't just threaten Israel, Minister, but also other countries in the Middle East and Europe. This will directly impact European security for the better. You, of course, know the extent of Iran's contribution in intelligence and weapons to the war in Ukraine. Last night, the IDF took out commander of the Basij, Soleimani, and his deputy and secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, Ali Larijani. The Iranians are also safer without them. By the way, we still haven't seen Mojtaba. Wouldn't you like to see him, Minister? He should show his face. He can hide, he can continue to hide, but to show his face because it's beginning to be embarrassing for this regime. The Basij under Soleimani's command was responsible for the brutal repression of the Iranian people seeking their freedom. Soleimani was under US and EU sanctions for his role in repressing Iranians. Larijani was also under US sanctions for the same reason, with a $10 million prize on his head. We did it for free, anyhow. The Basij used cruel and violent methods against their own people. In January, the regime butchered probably over 30,000 Iranians. Our actions are weakening its repression mechanism. The regime can only be toppled by the Iranian people. Yet, without external help, the Iranian people cannot liberate themselves. The international community is facing a dangerous phenomenon of modern piracy by terror states. We spoke about it in our conversation. Terror states are violently taking over shipping lanes and harming the global economy. The Houthis, an Iranian proxy, crippled the freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. Now, the Iranian regime is blocking international shipping and the flow of energy through the Strait of Hormuz. Yet it's giving free and selective passage to Russia and China, for example. This assassination of global order and trade and the freedom of navigation is driving up the cost of living in the whole world. This isn't simply an American and Israeli issue. It's a global problem. If this strategy is successful, tomorrow other regimes can act the same way in other places. It can become the problem of the Baltic, Black, or Mediterranean seas. If Iranian piracy in the Strait of Hormuz isn't crushed, this form of terror will spread around the world. Under Iranian direction, Hezbollah joined the war against Israel. So far, it has launched around 2,000 missiles and drones at Israel. It's an unbelievable number within 2 weeks. Many more attacks have been launched from Lebanese territory than from Iran. Our communities in the north are under attack, at times too close for the sirens to alert them of incoming Hezbollah terror missiles. These are the same citizens, Minister, that spent a year away from their homes in 2024 after Hezbollah joined Hamas's war against Israel. The story of their suffering is not being told. The international media only reports on what happens on the Lebanese side of the border. What normal country wouldn't act when facing such attacks? Israel will defend its citizens and communities. I remind you, in 2000, Israel completely withdrew from Lebanon down to the last millimeter. Since then, the Hezbollah terror state has grown and taken Lebanon hostage. The Lebanese government committed to dismantling Hezbollah in the November 2024 ceasefire. It didn't do it. And now it's not doing anything to stop Hezbollah's attack. It hasn't even fired the Hezbollah-affiliated ministers in the government. We expect the Lebanese government to take immediate action to stop the attacks from its territory. If they are not willing to confront Hezbollah, they are in effect handing over Lebanon's sovereignty and future to Iran. Minister, Estonia has already designated Hezbollah in the entirety, including its political wing, so-called political, as a terror organization. So have other European states, including Germany, the Czech Republic, Austria, Lithuania, Latvia, the UK, and the Netherlands. The EU took the clear moral step of designating the Revolutionary Guards as a terror organization. It would be fitting if it designated Hezbollah in its entirety as a terror organization too. Dear Minister, our bilateral ties are strong. We want to further strengthen them in economy, defense, and many other fields. During my visit in Tallinn, I invited also the defense minister to visit Israel and see our defense tech. Israeli technology and defense products are the finest in the world. They're proving themselves today on offense and defense. Israel has much to offer, as does Estonia, the world leading in e-governance. I look forward, dear Margus, to working together to take our ties to next level. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Saar. Mr. Tsakna, please.
Thank you, dear Gideon. Thank you, dear friend. I really do appreciate your warm welcome here in Jerusalem. It's not my first time to be here. I was visiting Jerusalem, if I remember correctly, 2016, and when I was Minister of Social Affairs. So it's different times, and we had very good debates and conversations during our meeting today. But Estonian and Israeli people, we are very like-minded. We are small, I can say, by maybe figures, but not by the spirit of freedom. And this is very important. But also maybe it is a well-hidden fact that Estonia was the first country in the world who 100 years exactly ago declared the cultural autonomy for Jewish people. And it was the first country in the world. And we are well known that your people in Estonia, they are well kept, they are part of our societies, and they are safe. As well, we have copied from you, and we are learning a lot from you about total defense concept, that every member of our society knows the responsibilities and having the willingness for standing up together for our freedom, because unfortunately we have a very bad neighbor. It's Russia. We have been living there like 10,000 years. And we have planned for another 10,000 years. But we have many things to cooperate and also to learn from each other. And maybe one other story about after regaining our independence in 1991, that most of Estonians are truly trustful for Israel, is that we gained our independence in 1991, but the Russian troops were located to Estonia since 1994. And nobody actually sold us weapons. And,
We did.
And Israeli government was the first and the only who actually trusted our new reborn government at the same time when actually the Russian troops were located to our territory. There was no talks about the NATO membership and the EU and whatever, and you sold us Galili and also some Uzis. But it was not about weapons. It was about the trust.
Galil is better.
Yes, but the case is that everybody in Estonia still remember this fact. Maybe you don't know publicly, but this is important. But Israel's security and long-term stability in the region are important to Estonia. And my solidarity visit during an active conflict underlines this commitment, and I assure you it will continue. Estonia understands the direct security threats posed by the Iranian regime to Israel and other countries in the region. Iran's nuclear and missile programs, its support for terrorist organizations, and its cooperation with Russia in its war of aggression against Ukraine all pose serious threats to regional and global security. Estonia supports the efforts of Israel and the United States to ensure that Iran cannot pose such a threat. For years, we have closely monitoring the growing cooperation between Iran and Russia, including reports of military coordination and intelligence sharing. And we can say as well that Iran and Russia are the two different sides of the same coin of evil. This once again shows how closely connected the security challenges in Europe and the Middle East have become. While much of the world's attention has recently focused on developments in this region, Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine continues. Russia keeps targeting civilians and civilian infrastructure and remains committed to its goal of destroying Ukraine and reshaping the European security architecture. Estonia condemns Iran's attacks against its neighbors who were not involved in the war, including against civilian targets, and express solidarity with those affected. All states have the right to defend themselves in accordance with international law, while efforts to prevent further escalation remains essential. But at the same time, Ukraine has demonstrated its solidarity with countries in this region facing threats from Iran, not only in words, but also through its willingness to contribute practical support to defense efforts. So Ukraine is not only the country who needs our support right now, but also delivering the capabilities for these who need. In this context, I reiterate our encouragement for Israel to expand its direct assistance to Ukraine. We also discussed today with Foreign Minister about Gaza, Lebanon, and development in the West Bank. And Estonia supports efforts to stabilize Gaza and the disarmament of Hamas, which Estonia recognizes as a terrorist organization. We also discussed developments in the West Bank, including settlement expansions and incidents that risk further undermining stability. Ultimately, lasting peace and security require progress towards a two-state solution, allowing Israel and Palestine to live side by side in peace and security. Estonia stands ready to contribute and to strengthen the European Union's dialogue with Israel, Palestinians, and all those in the region willing to play a constructive role. And finally, we reaffirm the importance of the Estonian-Israel partnership and our cooperation in areas such as innovation, IT, and also booming defense cooperation continues to deepen. And the opening of the Israeli embassy just 4 months ago in Tallinn last November has already strengthened our partnership. So thank you, Gideon, my friend, again, for this relationship. And in the name of Estonian people, I said that this relation and friendship will last forever. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you, ministers. We have time for one quick question. Yes, please.
Hi, Alexander Cornwell from Reuters. First, Minister Saar, Israel and the US have carried out extensive strikes on Iran over the past 2+ weeks on its leadership, military, and even the internal security forces. What are Israel's concrete objectives in the coming weeks, given everything it has achieved so far? Or could the campaign move towards a defined endgame for the war? And secondly, your ambassador to the UN yesterday said, with regards to Lebanon, that there were a few players trying to mediate and to host talks. Quote, I believe the next step will be talks, but first we have to degrade the capability of Hezbollah, end quote. Could you please clarify what is happening vis-a-vis the Lebanese government? And for Minister Tsahkna, you've been quoted as saying that Estonia is ready to discuss how it can contribute to the US mission to the Strait of Hormuz. What exactly is Tallinn considering? Is it considering sending vessels? And lastly, does Europe believe that it's time for the US and Israel to bring the war to an end? Or does Europe support the current Israel-US effort to continue the campaign? Thank you.
I believe you see there is a progress every day, and there was a significant progress last night. So one must be patient with regard to the operation. We are doing a very important job, and we said clearly that our objective is to remove existential threats for the long term, for the long run. We don't want to be in a new war every year. In order to do that, we need to do what we do today. And we also work in order to create the conditions that will enable the people of Iran to gain their freedom. In order to do so, and I emphasized that it is eventually in the hands of the Iranian people, but this brutal repressive regime must be weakened to an extent it will be possible. And this is why when you are dealing with these people we dealt last night, the head of the Basij and his deputy, these are the people that were responsible for the repression, for the brutal killings of Iranians. And in order to see a change, also the Iranian people must see that this regime is weakened. So we are doing that in addition to what we are doing with regard to the nuclear program, to the military industries. We had done huge achievements already. We already won, by the way, whatever will happen in the future. They was dramatically weakened. Iran is not the country it was 3 weeks ago. In any way, this is clear for us and for our neighbors, but we will continue till the point that the mission will be completed.
Yes, we understand, and Estonia has been very clear about political support to Israel and the U.S. About weakening the Iran regime, also taking down the nuclear deterrence and nuclear programs, and as well the military programs, and weakening this regime actively. So the political support has been very clear. So, and I assure that right now as well. Now we're talking about the situation in the Strait of Hormuz. So, of course, it is hitting economy globally. We're not only talking about the oil prices, we're talking about fertilizers, we're talking about the global economy and trade, which is actually very much connected. And President Trump has said as well that he's waiting that NATO allies will come to support U.S. to solve this problem. And Estonia, we have been always reliable partner for U.S. We have been together in different military missions if our allies are needing that in Iraq, in Afghanistan. It's not only about U.S., it's about our allies. So we have proven that we are reliable partners. But of course, for that, we need as well discussion. We are ready to discuss what kind of support U.S. needs, what are the real goals, and as well amongst NATO, though that has not been yet at the moment when I'm giving this answer, the ask or the proposal from U.S. side. So first of all, there must be a clear picture what actually U.S. needs, if they need anything. And as well, I can only talk about, in the name of Estonia, the question is that we're taking responsibilities up in North Europe, where the bordering country for Russia, and Russia is still waging a full-scale war in Ukraine, and also is a direct threat to Europe. So we take full responsibilities there. We're a small nation, but also we have some maybe specific capabilities we will be ready to offer if there is a need for any kind of support to U.S. or to free world countries as a coalition. So let's see what is going to happen, but Estonia is always ready to support our allies. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. This is now over. The press conference is now over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
See you soon somewhere.